Good morning and happy Monday.
Good morning. Good morning. Yes, it is indeed another Monday. Oh my goodness. School is back in full swing, and for us anyway. And we've had some rain this weekend because of whatever storm was lingering out there. So I hope everybody out in Texas and Louisiana are safe from that storm.
It's so weird, just being up in Tennessee because I'm so used to you just see this all over TV, and
Right.
and I couldn't. So I'm like, I don't, I'm trying to fish on Facebook to try to find like, yeah, I don't know, just what's going on. And I mean, it didn't seem like it was a big deal until all of a sudden it was like it's a big deal.
Well, what's funny is I when the hurricane or the storm is coming towards us, it's 24/7, 24/7. I even had a hard time finding news to keep up with what's going on, in the storm. And so I was trying to follow and see, and it's interesting when it's coming here. It's way more all over, way more.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. It'll be an interesting season because then I was like, oh, I want to come down in September. And I'm like, why would I go to Florida in September? Like, no, that's when I tell people, you don't go to Florida in September.
Right.
Like,
Well, hopefully we'll be okay this year. And but so there was some sort of deadly.
2020, Kerry.
I know. Well, that's what I'm going to say. So there was some sort of deadly jellyfish found in Cocoa Beach this weekend.
What?
Yeah. So I've seen it on Facebook. I haven't done enough investigating to really see, if deadly is the right word. I could be making that up, but I saw it. I'm going to have to investigate. And I was like, oh goodness, it's 2020. Like this is just
Well, and our local Remax broker, he posted last week, it was this caterpillar on a branch. And the caterpillar, I'm not lying, was this big, like ginormous. And I'm like, well, what kind of butterfly comes out of that?
right.
And I know it's 2020, you got those crazy bees or whatever, and now
Yeah.
jellyfish.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm not kidding. I have to send you a picture. Like it looks like a joke, but he's actually holding the branch and then he takes a close up. But it's like, oh my gosh, like what in the world is that thing? And how is that what kind of butterfly shows up with that? Just stay tuned.
Right.
Hopefully,
Exactly.
monitoring that one. I definitely, that's not too far from me. So,
All right. So this week we're going to talk about 5 reasons you might be missing out on business. So, there's some questions to kind of ask yourself and to look within is what's holding you back, and are there areas of the business that you won't do? And I will say, I always say I'm sure I could make more money than I do, but there's certain things that I just am not comfortable with, so I don't do them. So, I think you pick the things that you like. I think you pick the things that you're good at, and then I think you always add in one or two things that's going to help you get more business. Put you out of your comfort zone and help you get more business. So our first one, and everything here is really basic. We all know these things, but it's just a reminder to do them, and then the discussion about what's going to make you different or what's going to make you stand out. So the first one is call expired listings. Obviously, these people want to sell their home. They just had the wrong agent advising them. And we all know many times it could be price, but not always. We have a top agent in our office who does a lot of expired listings. And many times he even raises the price on the listings when he gets them. And he gets them sold quickly. A lot of it has to do with your photography, and how you place those photographs in your listing. So these are the kind of things that you want to talk about with an expired listing, what you do differently. Don't always give your bag of tricks away in the interview because you don't want them to take those things and then pick someone else and use your ideas. So with expireds, are you mailing? Are you calling? Are you knocking on their door? And know that 25 or 30 other agents are going to be doing the same thing. So what's going to set you apart to make them want to go with you. And it's funny, I had a friend, and this is going back like 7 or 8 years ago, that had a listing, and when it expired, he got postcards and handwritten notes from people wanting to list. And one of the handwritten notes, I mean, it was okay, so my 8th grade principal was Sister Ann, and she used to say, your handwriting is like chicken scratch on the barnyard floor. And that is what this note, that's what this note looked like. And I thought, oh my gosh, like who would hire, I mean, not that your handwriting is important, but the presentation of the whole note was a little much. So, are you knocking on their door, or are you calling them, or are you sending a note? Is sending the note quick enough? I don't know. Is the expired ready to relist right then? Maybe they're not. So do you keep up with the expireds? Sometimes maybe you call or you knock on the door, but then you put them into your kind of list. I used to do this with for sale by owners and expireds. I have something to mail them like every 2 weeks, a postcard this week. Then I'd send them a handwritten note 2 weeks later. Then I'd send them a calendar so that they keep seeing your name, so that when they're finally ready, they'll call you if they're not ready right then.
But it's like being persistent about something too. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that. A lot of people, they may try one time, oh, it didn't work, and then they're done. And I think part of the key for increasing your business is being persistent at, I know we kind of call them those pillars to your business. And I know I'm kind of just going over a couple today. I know that in our business planning, we cover a ton, and we just like, you need 7 to 10 of these. But you have to be consistent.
Yep.
You can't, it's just like an online lead. You can't email once, they didn't reply, oh, it's a bad lead. It's being consistent. And I'm all about, kind of having basically like a rule book of the calendar, and, time management is a big part of that, to be consistent and being repetitive.
Yeah. When we get to the open house part, I'm going to tell a good story about that, about being consistent. An agent called me this morning to tell me this amazing success story. And I said, you only have 5 minutes to tell me, because I have to get ready for the show with Heather. So the next one is visit for sale by owners. They're getting tons of calls. They're getting tons of calls. They're not going to answer the phone anymore. Knock on their door and say hello face to face, and not necessarily always just to be, I want your listing, or the age old, I have a buyer. Maybe bring them something of value. Bring them something like some suggestions for title companies, or some kind of suggestion to help them do it on their own, because ultimately, many times these people can't and don't do it on their own, but they will appreciate that you gave them a suggestion. And when they're ready, most likely call you over the 500 other agents that are calling them on the phone.
In this crazy market, are you seeing a pickup of FSBOs by any chance?
I haven't noticed them as much, to be honest. And I wonder, actually, when I think about it, is that because of COVID? And so maybe they're more leery to have people come to their home. I don't know, what would make them feel safer about with an agent, although, because they wouldn't know that we're doing safe practices unless they spoke to us. But maybe that's part of it. But I haven't seen a lot of FSBOs recently. I don't know if anybody out there is watching and they want to comment. Make sure you click on the StreamYard thing first so we know who you are. But let us know if you're seeing a lot more FSBOs out there. I really, really haven't. So
that's good. I mean, that's good, because usually in a crazy market, you'll start to see that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it is a little different. And do you want just people off the street coming in? And maybe because using, a realtor, maybe, they're kind of pre-screening these people a little more than just somebody walking off the street. You don't know anything about them.
Right. And it's amazing still how many, and I say sight unseen, like you're in-person unseen, houses are selling still. So.
Well, in a crazy market, I mean, it's sometimes, especially if they're out of town, it's not super easy to fly.
Well, right, because then, depending on where you're coming from, when you get here, you're supposed to, what do they call that?
Quarantine?
That.
If you're coming from a red state to a red state, do you still have to quarantine?
That's a good question. That is
I
a
thought
very
if
good
it was
question.
red to red, you were,
You're safe?
you're all screwed. I don't know.
Right. Not sure, honestly. Not sure. I
Yeah,
haven't had
I
any.
drove down. They had 95 closed, but I come through 75. So
Oh,
75
so
did not.
and you can come through 75 just fine? Interesting.
Yeah, no issue 75, but knowing the same people that came in the same time from 95 was closed coming into Florida. Just to kind of go over all the rules and stuff. But
Right.
75 wasn't that way, which I don't know. That was kind of interesting. Because I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was fine.
Right? That's funny. Okay, so hold an open house. Hold an open house, but just don't hold an open house. Introduce yourself to the neighbors. Maybe go around if your open house is on Sunday. Door knock the neighbors on Saturday. Let them know who you are. Let them know that you're holding the house open. So many of the neighbors are, hate to say it, nosy. Maybe they haven't been in the house. They want to come in and see it. And this is the perfect opportunity for them to do it. So knock the neighbors, or you can send postcards, put flyers up to the neighbors, put out, it's when I see them out on the street, it's a little annoying, but put out a bajillion signs. I mean, Tom Perry used to say, like, if you're not
20 at least, right?
it was 20. I was going to say 50. I couldn't remember the number. And it's keep in mind the point for the sign, and it shouldn't be the generic open house sign. It should be the one with your name on it. The point of that is not necessarily that people are coming to that open house, but that people are seeing your name, associate it with your brokerage and with real estate, and that you do open houses. So when they want to list, hopefully your name is going to come to mind, and they're going to go, oh, I want to use Heather Holiday. She does all those open houses. But also make sure you pick your signs up as well. Don't leave those sitting out there. So here's the story. An agent from our office called me this morning. She needed advice on something, and she said, I just put under contract my biggest sale yet. She goes, but it's not a sale until we close, so I'm not counting my chickens yet. And I'm like, yeah, good. I don't, until that check is being deposited into my bank account, it's not done. So she says it's 2.5 million. And wait till I tell you how I got this buyer. And so then we talked through the questions she had. And then she said, so I did an open house 2 years ago for an agent in our office that does a lot of listings, who knew that I like to do open houses. And it was in Satellite Beach, which is where I live and I like to work. And I did this open house in Montecito. Not one person came in until the very, very end. And in came this lady, and we talked, we exchanged information, and we stayed in contact. I subsequently sold her a home, and she told me the neighborhood, and I'll just say probably a $300,000 home. Continue to stay in touch with her. And I got a phone call the other week, and she said, hi, so-and-so, this is Karen. I'm just making the name up. You sold a house to my sister, Susie. My husband and I want to come. We're going to take a look, and our budget is $2 to $3 million. So there's the keeping in contact, consistency, follow-up. Just because somebody may not be ready, well, her buyer did buy, but may not be ready to buy now, they will be eventually. So if you continue to keep in contact with them, whatever that is, and multiple touches, Heather, you always have great ideas, Facebook, Instagram, handwritten notes, what else? Email.
Those are the big things. And then you can have I know a lot of our agents do the client appreciation parties, and whether we have the rent the movie theater, the park, there's all sorts of different ideas. But I think I like the handwritten notes because we don't get those so much, but definitely social media has made it easier than ever to stay in contact and communications with your past clients or prospects or anybody. I mean, your family, for goodness sake. Being able to organize that. Those I think are the biggest keys is keeping those relationships, whether you have monthly newsletters, hopefully you're adding some value in that. But a social, if they're on there, I think is the easiest way to keep that relationship, and that's the key thing. It's not posting stuff. It's you commenting and keeping those relationships and the private messages and just that bond.
Well, and that's important. It's not always posting real estate. It's posting something where you get interaction with people, or like you said, following up on what they post, but not just giving it a thumbs up or a heart, making a comment so they know you're there. Now, you don't have to make a comment on like every real estate agent in Brevard who makes a post.
Good morning,
Melissa. You don't have to make a comment on every real estate agent in Brevard that makes a post, but on any potential buyer or seller, you want to make sure you're engaging with them. So next.
And I loved Anna's post that she did in our group. That was pretty special.
I'm going to get oh God, I'm going to get choked up.
That was pretty special. So thank you. And I couldn't agree more.
It makes me feel a little uncomfortable and weird, but I appreciate it very much. And I'll just call Anna out. She's famous for texting me at 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday night, but she's got a baby. And so that's when she can work.
You can, yeah.
And I have a very boring life. So I am sitting at home watching TV too. So there you go. So, okay, on to the next. Leverage your listings. So when you get a listing, are you sending out just listed postcards? I send them to, my sphere is not the right word. What is that? My farm. So if I have a farm and I get a listing in that farm, that postcard goes out to everyone in that farm, because I want them to see that I'm listing property. I want them to know, and then I want them to see the value in my work, what the pictures are looking like, what I'm pricing out. And I also then send a just sold again in my farm. Again, this is to get more listings. This is to let people know that you're there, that you're listing property, that you're selling property. I had sellers once, their winter home was here. They lived in South Carolina. So my postcard would go to the South Carolina house because that's on the property appraiser, that's their mailing address. Mm-hmm. I mean, she literally carried 4 of my postcards down from South Carolina, brought them to the house here, and called me when they got here to list and sell their home. And it was a $450,000 house. So, it's constantly name recognition so that they put your name with real estate.
No, and I think now it's even more important with the market being crazy. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that are, considering selling, but, with COVID and the uncertainty, I think it's a matter of us educating that the market is insane and there's zero inventory. So if you even have a thought about it, you need to be, reaching out to them in any way.
For sure. It's funny. One of my buyers texted me yesterday and she's like, we're thinking about selling in the next 5 years. And I said, that's awesome, except the market's really hot right now. So depending on what your plan is, let me real quick do a price opinion for you. I'll send it over to you. And I sent it over to her and she said, okay, we're going to talk. I'll let you know. I mean, that's the thing. I have another client who's building. The house is not going to be ready for 10 months. And we're probably going to list the house now and they'll just live in a temporary rental until the other one's ready, because the prices and the how quickly houses are going right now is just, it's unbelievable. I mean, we are at an all-time low for listings, or for the turnaround rate. What's that called? Inventory rate. So we're at 2.0 months of inventory in Brevard County.
Insane.
Well, and I was reading the stat from NAR, and if I hope I quote this correctly, but I'll be close. In the United States, it's either 3.2 or 3.4 months of inventory. So we're even way below the national average. I mean, it is
But we don't seem to be getting the crazy amount of offers that I've heard other markets like.
Oh, we don't get like 40 and 50 because I've seen markets where they're getting 40 and 50 offers. We're getting like between 4 and 7 usually is what
right,
I'm seeing.
right.
Yeah, which is manageable. Could you imagine getting 40? That's
no.
Yeah.
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 We're talking in our little group. I mean, there's like spreadsheets to help you understand like all aspects of all these different offers. And I couldn't imagine even having to go through that. And, in a market like this, it's, the first time home buyers, I think I always feel the most for.
No, I have to say I know, or the VA loans. Well, first time home buyers, if they're asking for closing costs, VA, even if they're not asking for closing costs, I've seen people shy away from it because a lot of times it's 100% financing. Just because it's 100% financing does not mean those people don't have money and they're not a good buyer. It just means they're preserving their cash for other things. Why wouldn't you 100% finance something if you're getting an interest rate below 3%? It's like, right. I mean, it's as close to money. It's as close to free money as we can get. So
I know. I'm so used to always paying so much more on my car loan, but I'm like, it's 1% interest. I'm paying what I owe. Like,
right.
I'll pay the other bills,
first.
I'm like, right. 1%. It's like.
Exactly. I had buyers who were going to pay cash, and they ultimately they got a loan because they were like, "This is silly not to. We can put the money elsewhere, and make money on the money that we would have put into the house with the interest rate being so low."
Exactly.
And the same thing. So the opposite is you always want to announce sales. So whether you had the buyer, you had the seller, again, your sphere of influence or that farm, if that property is in your farm, make sure you're letting people know that you participated in that sale. And if you got a great deal for your buyer, say it appraised for more than they got the house for. Mention that. Social media is a great way to do that. And I see it a lot from a lot of the agents in town on Facebook. I'm personally starting to get more and more into Instagram. My dog, I've now become that person. My dog is the star of the show.
And I do see she has her own Instagram now because my kids, my pups.
She does. At Lady Lucy Diamond, and I brand her with a little bit of Remax or a little bit of real estate stuff, and we'll see how that goes.
It's just fun. I don't know that anything has ever come from mine, but it's almost like a release of just the craziness from social. I'll end up spending a lot more time. And now, of course, I have Molly the cat, and I don't know how to. Like, I don't want her to have her own thing. Like, okay, that might be a little much.
Right. They're very cute, though. I was showing everybody that was at my house yesterday the pictures of.
Zeus. Molly likes to curl up on Zeus. Zeus isn't 100% sure what to do with that, but she follows him around.
That's great. That's great. He's so good. He's so good. I could see him getting a little like, I don't really know if I like this, but I'll sit here and enjoy it.
His name, he's more like Eeyore, from Winnie the Pooh. But everybody uses him as a body pillow, so I think he's used to it, but he's still uncertain
about this little crazy cat.
But she doesn't attack him, so I guess that's a good thing. She attacked Zoe.
Zoe, right.
All I hear is this, 115-pound dog thumping through the house, and it's this little cat chasing her like crazy.
Well, it's fun. And let me just go. It's funny that you say you don't know if you get anything from those, but I can tell you, I mean, when we go places, when you and I travel, everybody knows about your dogs. Everybody knows who they are. They know who Heather Holiday is. They know who her dogs are. I mean, that's it. It's name recognition and notoriety and a reason for them to come up and talk to you. They'll come up and talk to you about the dogs or whatever. So, it doesn't always have to be real estate because sometimes that's just shoving it down people's throat. And I'll bring back the thing that you and I talk about all the time, being mindful about what you're talking about so that it's not always sell your house, let me help you, let me, give them other items of value or other interaction from you, not just, I want to list your house.
No,
You know,
everybody always asks, what third party do I need to use for social media? And it's like, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. And if you're going to just hire a third party, whatever, to post, that's all fine and dandy. But it's not like you're going to be growing your relationships, and you're taking the social out of social media. You're just basically giving them the media part, and that's not going to create a relationship. So you're going to get out of it what you put into it. Just like any other pillar to your business, social's just one of them. It's not the end all be all, but it is a way for you to create those relationships. When you create those relationships, I think doors open in ways that you just could never think possible. And I think once you are actually yourself and being personable and, professional, positive, and you start to see that magic happen and everything clicks and you realize, oh, there's no third party that's going to post, be me. I can't, unless you find a clone. And when it comes to the real estate stuff, yes, you can have a marketing person doing that part, but I think that's still not you. So.
Right. Yeah, agreed. Completely agreed. And so real estate is really a task business that we have to constantly prospect and generate and convert and service and promote ourselves. It's a lot. It's a lot that you just need to keep up with and be consistent with. And hopefully everything we've talked about today will help you know what you should be doing. And now, have a calendar, stick to your calendar, block out time. We do that in our business planning, which is what we'll be doing in October. Block out time for different things, gym, 6 a.m. or whatever time it is, prospecting 10 to 12 or whatever it is. But, keep your schedule. So as we move forward, embrace the next change that comes your way. And there's always change.
This is 2020.
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh. Like, who would have? And look for an opportunity to move forward and how you can continue to progress in this industry.
Yes. And I think that the future is going to belong to those that see the possibilities before they become obvious. And I thought that was so true. In 2020, we have been just, I don't know, so many challenges have been thrown our way. Everything in our life has changed. Kids are going back to school in a way we've never thought possible. We ended school in a way we never thought possible. So I think we just need to find the possibilities, and how I love real estate because it's always changing. And 2020 has for sure given us change unlike anything else. But I think we always have to, we're always saying you just have to adjust the sails. Yeah. And we really do. And in any way that, we can help, that's what we're here for. We're adjusting our sails. So obviously we can't have the huge auditorium for our business planning like we do every year. So we're taking it online.
Right.
In October is going to be, we're breaking it up into 4 sections. We're going to be giving you homework. So stay tuned. We'll be releasing those. We're working on it now, finalizing. So that'll be interesting.
It will be totally. Well, and so I think I said this, or maybe I didn't, did the Florida Realtors Convention all virtual last week. It was super awesome. I had so much opportunity to attend more classes than I've ever had before because I'm not socializing, in between classes, chit-chatting with people. And
also it's like, oh crap, I just missed the first 15 minutes. And
yeah, and I'm actually doing the Tom Ferry starting tomorrow. Virtual, and that will be interesting to see how that goes. I'm super excited to see how that is. And let's
the MMWUC, and that was kind of cool because I was able to be, I basically would have like all 5 classes for the breakouts, and you have the chat boxes in every one. So I actually it's almost like you're able to kind of go in
and peek and talk and see. Yep.
Right. And I was able to see like maybe the one I thought I wanted wasn't necessarily the one I wanted, and I didn't have to be rude.
Exactly. Right. Because I always hate that. Like that's why we always sort of try and sit by a door just in case we don't.
Because you never know. You never know. Some people have great titles and then it's just not exactly what you thought it was going to be. So the virtual part was pretty cool. I'll be doing the Jared James as October. So I'm excited for that. So I think, it's challenging. It's different. I miss the hugs. I miss the in person, but you just got to adjust those sails, go with the flow. And I think we're doing that.
Yep.
So, so I'm excited to see how this will go. Because I think,
and kind of how things as we get into 2021, how it's going to go. You know, as I was reminding my son this morning to remember his face mask for school, I went into the bathroom to take my shower, which is where I do all my thinking, and I just thought, gosh, who would have ever thought I'd be sending my kid to school with a face mask on, and it would feel normal, you know, and it's just what it is, you know, and all the kids seem to be embracing it. Anyway, that's sort of just a side, but you know, I'm hoping for the best for the rest of 2020 and for 2021, and you know, let's figure out how we can set ourselves apart so that you can make yourself the next great agent for that seller or buyer.
And then next Monday is Labor Day. So we're
taking a break.
We're not doing labor, or at least we're not doing the show. So we have off, and then we'll have a couple good shows, and then October. So stay tuned. Hopefully by when we come back after next week, we'll have all the details for the October business planning. So that'll be pretty cool. But I guess until next week or in 2 weeks, I guess, well, every week, but wait and repeat. And then we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Awesome. Have a great week, everyone.